We're on the bottom of Chav Zayin Amud Beis 27b4, all the way on the bottom to the bottom line. We are going to finish the Masechta in the next 40 minutes. The Gemara that we're about to embark on is actually very famous Gemaras. It's very simple Gemaras. And some of the most schwerest Gemaras in a philosophical way. Some of them are extraordinarily difficult. And frankly, it leaves you with more questions than you have answers. That's just the way it is. And so that is this last stuff in Masechtas Moed Kattan. Here we go. So the Mishnah said, "V'loi shel noshim le'olam b'pnei hakoved," and we do not put down the beer of the women up and down to extend the time of their burial. We don't do it because of their dignity. So that halacha is now about to be narrowed. In Nardoi, they said,
just one thing, when we put the bed down and we say Atzur Tomim Poholoi each time, is that what it's talking about? Or
yes.
Is it come as a hesped?
No, so we today do that. We also do, some people have the minute to do Yoshev B'Seiser 7 times.
Right.
7 times.
You say only one, you put it down and you say one posuk. Yoshev B'Seiser.
Right, then you move on.
So you're not really masped anything.
No, you're not. We don't do that because we have a big hesped at the funeral home.
The funeral, right.
Right. So we've changed it a bit, but the idea behind it is that. But for women, we don't do that. Women, we take
the mess is in a casket anyway. So you don't see it anymore.
And it's not just that, you're reliant on the goyim to do the thing in the Zavaita.
Right.
So you have to move along, otherwise things close down by 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. Okay.
So Amri Nadoi, they said in Nadoi, Loi Shomer, they didn't teach that the women's were never put down. Hi Rachel. Okay, Elo Chayo. We're now on the top of Chof Ches Amud Aleph, except for a Chayo. Zogt Rashi, look at the top Rashi. Shemeisa Machmas Velad Shuhu Shoifeses. He's still bleeding, and therefore it's not something that we want to have anything to do with. Avo Shar Noshim Menichin, but other women you do put down. Rabbi Leizer Omer, Afilu Shar Noshim, even other women, Diksiv, Vatomas Shom Miriam, Vatikbar Shom, Samoch Lemisa Kavura, right after it's at the Kavura, and Azoi Paskin the Rambam, and Azoi Paskin Ins, and that's the way we hold to this day. Women are treated different than men, they're covered, their honor, their dignity is treated with much more greater concern than men's honor and dignity. Va'amar Rabbi Elazar, Miriam bin Ashika Mesel, she was nifted from the kiss of Hashem. Asir Shom Shom Mi Moshe, because by Moshe it says by Moshe. What does it say by Moshe? It says by Moshe by Yom Shom Moshe, and Moshe was nifted there. Mipnei Maloi Nema Ba Al Pi Hashem, Mipnei Shikanai Adobel Omroi. The reason why it doesn't say like it does by Moshe, by the mouth of Hashem, because it's a Kenai, because the Rebbeinu Shem is referred to as he. Of course, there is no male or female Klape Shemaya, but since he's referred to as a he, it's not a proper way to talk about him kissing a woman.
He was a Satmar Chusid.
He was a Satmar Chusid, exactly. Or the Satmaras would certainly say that. Amar Rabami, Lama Nisvacha Mises Miriam Lapash Para Duma, Lama Lacha, Ma Para Duma Michaperes, just like the Para Duma is Michapa Apisos and Shal Sadiki Michaperes, the Misa of the righteous provide atonement to the entire generation of which they were the leaders thereof. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Lama Nisvacha Mises Aaron Lebigde Kahuna, Aaron juxtaposed with the Mises Kahuna, because if you look in the Rashi Kusi, Ksav Yad, on the side, about 7-8 lines down, Mises Aaron Lebigde Kahuna, the kosa vayivshoit es Aaron es begodov, and Aaron took off his begodim and gave them to Elazar. My boy, you big day kahuna behind
Moshe took off the begodim.
Right, I'm saying. So what was big day kahuna doing at that point to teach us? Ma big day kahuna mechaprin af misan shel tzadikim mechaperes. The misa of tzaddik is also mechaper. Tanu rabbanon. Now, right away, we need to understand, look at Tosfos, the fourth Tosfos, the small little Tosfos. Chatufa de chazufa. Lo yedano, says Tosfos, maishnohu umonole. What is this Gemara coming to tell me? So, again, we're going to learn this Gemara with the full understanding that Tosfos himself did not have a clarity in this Gemara. So we learn it without going too in-depth.
No, because Tosfos is trying to say that the word chatufo and dechufo is the same thing. So why does it,
But in essence, what it's really trying to say is, what is this all about? And in essence, it's saying, what is this all about? So Tanu Rabbanan, Meis Pisoin, if one is taken away suddenly, Zui Misa Chatufa, an abrupt. Chala Yoim Echad.
It's not so good.
Right. Chala Yoim Echad Umeis, Zui Misa Dechufa hastened. Rabbi Hanania ben Gamliel Oimer, Zui Misas Magefa. One day and he dies is Misas Magefa. Shnema ben Odom. Hineni loikeach mimchos machmedis einecha b'magefa. Son of man, I am going to take away 28A2, take away from you the darling of your eyes in a plague. V'ksiv. And Yecheskel then said, V'adaber ela om baboika. I told this to the people in the morning. V'atomis ishti be'erev, and in the evening my wife died. Shnei yomim umeis. 6 for 2 days and he died. Zuhi misa dechuya, hurried. Shloisha ga'ara, rebuke. Arba nizifa, scorned. Chamisha zui misas kol adam. In other words, that's the normal way of things.
It doesn't have a negative connotation.
Amar Rabbi Chanin, my kra, what's the pasuk? Hein karvu yamecha lomus. Hein, chad is 1. Karvu is 2. Yomech is counted for 2. That's 3.
3.
Yomecha is 3. Is 2.
5.
It's 5. Kamisha. Hein chad. Hein is 1. Kishem beloshin yavani karin la'achas hein. Right? Hinu. Right. Meis b'chamishi shana. If one is nipped at 50. Zui misas chorus. Chamisha b'shtayim shana. Zui misas so small aramasi. Shmuel was nifter at 52, so he shouldn't see the misa of Shola Melech, who was his Talmud,
right,
and who he had inaugurated.
So it's not chorus,
right? So his was not chorus. No. But that means me. Shishim is Zui Misa B'dei Shemayim, which most Mefarshim explain that's normal. That's the normal. It could be also the punishment of Misa B'dei Shemayim, but that it depends on how you want to learn this.
Yeah.
Says the Gemara, Hama Mazutra, my kra, what's the pasuk? B'voyoi b'chelach elai kever. You will go to the grave at middle age. Okay, this is about Eoy. B'chela b'gematria shintin habu. The word b'chela, mature age, is the number 60. Shivim seba, at 70 old age. Shemaynim gevura, you've now become young again. You're bar mitzvah again, Daddy. So you're young again. See, you may shima senu behem shimim shana bim gevura shemaynim shana. Amar Rabba, mechamisha be'at shishim shana zui mises karis. It's a 10-year period. B'hai deloy chashiv lahu mishum kavoidei Shmuel haramasi. In order to protect the honor of Shmuel haramasi, we didn't say it that way, but it's a 10-year period. Rabbi Yosef,
not including 60.
right, as we're about to see. Rabbi
Yeah.
Yosef, you have a Bashitin. When Rabbi Yosef reached the age of 60, Avdulu Yoma Tobel Rabbanon, he made a yontif for his Talmidim. Oma Nofkili Mikaris, I have left the range of Karis. Amalei Abaya, me, the Nofkili Mami Karis Tishoni. Good that you passed the range of Karis of years. Mikaris the Yome, mi Nofkimar, who said that you passed the days of days. I will talk about it in a second. Amalei, he answered, Nokaid Loch, mi Opal Biyode. At least half the situation isn't taking my hand.
Right.
What are we talking about here? When the Sfas Emes was nifter, the Sfas Emes was nifter in his 50s. One son turned to the other son and said, our father was Zoicha to Arichas Yomim. So the other son said, what are you talking about? Our father was nifter young. He said, I didn't say Arichas Shonim. I said our father was Zoicha to Arichas Yomim. Shonim is up to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Yomim, what you do with each day, that's totally in you. Said the Sfas Emes' son said, and that I think, and this is what I think Rabbi Yossi just answered. The stuff that's in my hands, I'm in charge of that.
Right.
The stuff that's in the hands of the Rabbeinu Shalom, I'm not in charge.
Very good.
I think that's Shabbos Gemara.
Yeah, that's very good.
What do you call it? I heard this once. The beautiful Einfall. Why when we wish people, they always wish Arichas Yomim. You ever thought about it? It should be Arichas Shonim. The answer is Yomim are totally in you.
Right.
That's it. Shonim are totally in the Rabbeinu Shalom.
If you use your days the right way, then you live longer. Yeah.
You live, and even the Sfas Emes, who was nipped in his 50s, doesn't matter. But Arichas Yomim,
I saw this few chaverim of mine. I think you know them. I don't want to say the name. They retired from teaching.
Right.
Instead of sitting and learning and using the days now they went every day to downtown Brooklyn to the court to watch the thing. You know what happened to them?
They died.
They died within a few years after.
They faded away.
They faded away because they wasted their time.
Live, as my wife said. Instead, live. We should live well instead of right.
Yeah,
exactly.
But living doesn't mean that you're traveling and doing all kind of things.
No, it means living well. Exactly what the Gemara is saying. Arichas Yomim. Exactly. Fill your days with the Rabban. And we're going to see. The Gemara is going to talk about somebody that runs from the shul to learning and learning to the shul, so that his whole day is angeringel thing, right? That your whole day is in the service of the Rabbeinu Shalom. Rav Huna noch nafshnei pesoim. Rav Huna passed away suddenly. Hayakadanik Rabbanon, his Talmidim were worried. Tanaluhu zuga deme hadayev. The zugya of Torah scholars from Hadayev taught them the following brayso. Lo yishanu, they didn't teach that it might be karis elish lo yigia legevurasai. Yavel yigia legevurasai. A zui misa neshika pum farket. That is the misa neshika. In the way that mommy went, or the way that your mother went. The better example is Bobby Dudalo, right? She went to sleep Friday night, and boom,
she didn't wake up.
Perfect health, and boom, and that's it.
Mommy also, we saw it.
Just went. That was it. Amarava. The length of a person's life, the number of his children, and the extent of his parnasa, it's not tied to his merit. It's tied to his mazel. The Mefarshim go crazy over this Gemara. To learn this Gemara is very simple. To understand this Gemara is extraordinarily difficult. Because we say Taisus. Look at
Taisus.
The Hikshu b'Taisefta. The four Taisim from the bottom. Hod Abram b'Sayv Shabbos ein mazel Yisrael. There's no mazel to Yisrael. V'yesh loima to the pa'omim mishtana yidei mazel ki henu dohosam uponim she'ei mishtana. So in other words, Rabbi Eliezer said, if you remember, he said, if I my mazel is so schwach that if I made tachrichim, nobody would die. Remember?
Right.
So it was Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Loza. Not Rabbi Eliezer was very rich. Rabbi Loza was not. Right? In under event, and the Gemara is about to bring this up. The whole Rabba and Rav Chizda Tavayu Rabbonim Tzadikei. Rabba and Rav Chizda were both unbelievable righteous Rebbeim.
Wait a second. I figured out a teretz.
Yeah.
The Gemara is not talking about mazel. I figured out.
Yeah.
The matria of the b'mazler.
Yeah.
Equals 80.
Really?
So that's what it means. The chaya is b'mazler. Look at it.
Oh wow! Daddy, I'm writing this down. Wait, I'm writing it down. Hold on.
I wrote it down in my Gemara too.
I'm writing it down in mine. The shame of Imari. Hold on. That is unbelievable. The shame of Imari Shlita. Now, hold on.
This is my own. I told that to Rabbi when we were learning the Gemara by Rabbi Sugarman.
He must have gone
Sugarman. The Mazlas, I just figured out 10 equals 80. That's
well, he must.
It says here Tolu b'Mazla. It's totally in your mouth. If you're 80 years old, then you get this missing the shikr.
Wow. So wait a second. What did Rabbi Sugarman say?
Goes weiter. He doesn't answer anything. He's like a
I know he's a machine. Machine of Imari Shlita Hapshat who.
It's my own pshat. It may not be true.
So who says it's not right?
Yeah.
Live.
That's what it says. Talia Milsa b'mazler. That is on whether you're 80, if you reach the Gevura. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
You like it?
I love it. Let me tell you what I wrote over here. B'shem Avi Mari Shlita, Hapshat Hu, B'mazla, B'gematria 80, Gevura. And I wrote it with an exclamation point. Wow, very good.
I figured you would like it. That's why I stopped.
I'm actually gonna tell it over to somebody tonight. One would daven and rain would fall. Umar matzlei, and the other one would daven and rain would fall again. But Rav Chizda Rav Chizda lived to 92. Rabba only lived to 40. Again, he was from the family of Eli. Rav Chizda Shitin Hilulu. Rav Chizda made 60 weddings between his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. Rabba unfortunately had 60 bereavements. They Rav Chizda Semida Lechalbe Beloy Mispai. Rav Chizda, they fed fine flour to their dogs, and it wasn't needed. The dogs wouldn't even eat it; they were so full. Rabba's house, they fed bread or barley flour to people, and there was not enough to go around. The people were hungry. In other words, the point was, if you're going to try to figure out the Rachmei Hashem, the judgment of Hashem, doesn't work that way. You can't figure it out. The famous, of course, is the two brothers, the Noam Elimelech and the Rebbe Rab Zisha, right, from Ostropoli, right? The Noam Elimelech ran a Malucha, right, was a Rebbe, right, and ran a Malucha, and his brother, the Rebbe Rab Zisha, lived in a hovel wearing cardboard on his feet, right? Again, and this is the famous story between them, that two Chassidim came to the Noam Elimelech, the Rebbe Ramaylich, and they asked him, how come bad things happen to good people? He said, the question is a great question. I don't know. He said, don't ask me, go ask my brother, the Rebbe Rab Zisha. So they come and they find the Rebbe Rab sitting in a hovel with cardboard on his feet, and they ask him this, and they ask him this question, why do bad things happen to good people? The Noam Elimelech said, your brother sent us to you. And so Reb Zisha answered, I don't know why he sent you to me. I got everything is perfect by me.
Right.
And they looked around and it said,
There's no bad thing.
I have everything that was meant for me to have. I have exactly what I'm supposed to have. I don't understand the question. Go back then. And then they said, now we understand the answer. That's the end.
I remember when I was in Eretz Yisrael, I went to Rav Steinemann's house.
Right. Nothing there.
There's nothing there, mamish. It's a little a wooden table, like nothing. The sink was separated with a piece of wood.
Yeah. It is what it is. Anyways, Daddy, we have to finish up in the next 15, 20 minutes. So no, let's get moving. Amar Rabba, Hani Tlasimili Boye Kamei Shemaya. These things I daven to the Eibishter. Tarte Yahabali, Chadalo Yahabali. One he didn't give me. Mosei de Rav Huna. I asked for the wisdom of Rav Huna, the Isruye de Rav Chizda, and the wealth of Rav Chizda for Habali, and they gave it to me. In Vasanu say the Rabba Babar Huna, but the humility of Rabba Babar Huna, Lo Yahabali, they did not give me. Now, Yirish Shemayim is not Mina Shemayim. Hakol Midei Shemayim Chutz Mi Yirish Shemayim, but it meant to help on the way, and they didn't give him. Yet he was on his own. We're 28A4. Rab Tziruim Achuya de Rabba v'Yosef Kamei de Rabba. Rab Tziruim, the brother of Rabba, came before Rabba when Rabba was extraordinarily sick. Chazi to have a common name. He saw Rabba slipping into his final coma. Omalei Lemelei Mar Deloy Litzarin. Rabba, before he fell into his final sleep, told his brother, may the master tell the Malach HaMoves not to hurt me. Amalei, my love, it's Shushbini. Aren't you a friend? Rabba, aren't you, my brother Rabba, aren't you a friend of the Eitar of the Malach HaMoves? So Amalei, even the Misaisim Mazolo Lo Yashkech. Since my mazel has been delivered into the hands of the Malach HaMoves, he pays no attention to me anymore. In other words, he's a fair weather friend. Now that I'm in his hands, that's it. Amalei. So Amalei said to him, Lisa Mar to come back to me in a dream after he passes away. After Rabba passed away, he appeared to Reb Siroyim. Amalei, he said, Habi le lama tzara, did you have any pain? Amalei ki rifta de chusilta. It was like to puncture a little needle of the bloodletter's lancet. That was the whole pain. Rabba Yosef Kamedu Rab Nachman. Rabba was sitting by Rab Nachman again. At the end, Chazi de Komenamne, he saw Rab Nachman slipping into his final sleep. Amalei Lemamar the Loy Mitzvah. Rab Nachman asked Rabba, please talk to the Malach HaMoves that he shouldn't hurt me. Amalei, my love, Adam Chashavu, aren't you an important person? You speak to the Malach HaMoves directly. Amalei. Who's important, who's awesome, who's exalted before the Malach HaMoves? When it gets to the end of it, we're all the same. Lahavdul Elfway of Dolis, as Aristotle Onassis once said, when I go to the bathroom, I drop my pants the same way like everybody else. Lahavdul Elfway of Dolis. Amalei. Only in a Boca Raton, Daf Yomi, do you get as Aristotle Onassis to prove a point. Amalei. And you see, Daddy, I don't forget, come out anything you told me along the way. Amalei. Litz Chazi Limar. May the master appear to me after he dies. Asirilei. So Rav Nachman passed away and came to Rav in a dream. Amalei. Habilei Lamat Sarah. Did you have pain? Amalei. Ki Mishchal Benisa de Chalbala. It was like pulling a hair from milk. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but if the Kadosh Baruch Hu would tell me, Zilbahu Alma Bar Chalvis, go back to that world, live again as before, Loi Be'ina de Nopish Bi say, I would not want to because of the fear of the Malach HaMoves, the fear of death. And people live with the fear of death. Of course they live with the fear of death, but that's the impetus to try to live a good life.
You know, I wouldn't have asked such a questions. If mommy were to come back to me in a dream, I would ask her, tell me what's happening up there. How does Gan Eden look like? And not
You know
did
what?
you have your pain enough? That's already passed already.
All right. The answer is there's certain things they're not allowed to tell you. That's the reality. It's only things over here. So Rabbi Elazar Chazi the Ochel Truma. Rabbi Elazar was eating Truma. Osile Ischazile. The Malach HaMobes came to him. Amalei, he said, Truma ka chidin lav kodesh ikri. I'm eating Truma. Is it not called holy? If while I'm in the middle of eating, you're going to kill me, the Truma is going to become Tomei. So Chalkulei Shata, the moment passed, and then what do you call it? Got a new lease on life. Rab Sheshes Ischale B'Shuka.
You know what? A person should hold the Sefer Torah and tell them, if you kill me, I'm going to drop the Sefer Torah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Rav Sheshes is Chazale B'Shuka. The Malach HaMobes found Rav Sheshes in the marketplace. Amalei said to him, B'Shuka Kibehema. You want to take me in the marketplace like an animal? No, we'll handle this whole situation in the house. Okay? Handle this whole situation in the house. Rav Ashi is Chazale B'Shuka. Rav Ashi banged into the Malach HaMobes in the shuk. Amalei told him, wait 30 days, and I'm going to rechazer over all my studies. Fortunate is one who comes here with his learning in his hand. You should know that Zebi Weintraub put into the caver of his father the what's that sefer he wrote?
Mitzvah Shleimer.
Mitzvah Shleimer, and he said this pasuk: "Ashrei mi shabal lakam v'tamud biyodai."
Right.
Beyond Tolosin also on the 30th day, but while it was still day, the Malach HaMobes came back to Rabashi. Amalei, Rabashi asked him, "My kulahai, what's your rush? I got a few more hours." The Kakadi Rakle the Barnosan. He said, Rabashi is pushing the foot of Barnosan. In other words, it's time for Barnosan to take over Rabashi's position as Rosh Yeshiva. And the reign of one king does not encroach upon the reign of another king, even by a hairbreadth. And we know this because one president goes until January 20th, 11:59 and 59 seconds. At the stroke, at 12 p.m., the next one becomes president.
Right.
Literally 1 second to the next. For 28
the other one became a has-been.
And has-been. Rav Chisda lo yahavi yochulei, the Malach HaMobes was unable to get to Rav Chisda, the lo yahavi shofet pume begirsa, because his mouth never fell silent from learning Torah. Sokol Yosef Arza Beirav, so he climbed up onto a cedar tree of Rav Chisda's garden near the yeshiva. Pokik Arza B'Shokat, the tree split, and Rav Chisda was silent for a second. V'yochale, and he was able to get the upper hand. Rav Chia lo yahavi motzei lemikrible. Rav Chia could not approach the Malach HaMobes could not approach Rav Chia. Yomi Echad idmalei ka'anya. One day he disguised himself as a poor person. Also Torah Bobo. He went and knocked on Rav Chia's door. Amalei, he told him, Apikle Ripsa, give me bread. Apikle, so they brought him bread. Amalei, V'lav Kamerachim Mara Anya. Does the master Rav Chisda not have mercy on the poor? You do. Ahu Gavra, Amai like Kamerachim Mar. Then why don't you have Rachmanis on me, the Malach HaMobes? I got to do my job. Gali le achvile shuta de nuro. He showed him a rod of fire. Okay, in other words, his rod of office. Yeah, Aim Saleh Nafshe and Rav Chia surrendered to him. Okay, we're on Amud Beis. Chavches Amud Beis.
I don't think you can't finish the.
Well, we'll see. And if not, we'll finish it tomorrow. We'll finish it tomorrow morning. It's okay. because I think tomorrow is the last day, actually.
Right.
Tomorrow is the last. Tomorrow is the
Yeah.
Siyam, right?
Tomorrow is the Siyam, right.
All right, so they're good. So then wherever we get over here, this is where we go. Look, the Heilige Mishnah. Noshim b'moyed ma'anos, women, if it's Chalamoid and there's a Levaya.
Friday is when you begin Chagiga.
Oh, tomorrow. So today is the Siyam.
Today is the Siyam, yeah.
All right, but we could do it anyways. We could do it tomorrow and begin Chagiga.
It goes fast, the rest.
Yeah. Noshim b'moyed ma'anos, women on Chalamoid, if there's a Levaya, they do an inui, an elegy. Avoloi metapchos, but they don't clap. Rabbi Shmuel Loimer, hasamuchos lamita metapchos, those who are close to the mita do clap. B'rosh chadoshim b'Chanukah uPurim, in which there is no iser malacha, there's no iser malacha on Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah and Purim. Ma'anos u'metapchos, they chant a dirge and clap. But in both cases, Chalamoid and Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah and Purim, they don't say kina. They don't go overboard. Right. And once it's been buried, they move on. Ezu inui shekulan oinus ba'achas. Everybody chants together. Kina mesha'achas medaberes v'kulan oinus achreo. One speaks and the others respond afterwards. Shenema v'la meidino b'noisechem nehi b'isha ru'usa kina. Each word is mourning and each woman a lamentation to her friend. Avo la'asid lavoi, who I now. Bila ha'mobes lo netzach u'mocha Hashem elikim dimo mi'al kol ponim. He will eliminate death forever, and Hashem, the Lord, will erase your tears from all faces. Now, there's two different pshatim over here. The one pshat is the Ran in Masechta Sanhedrin says it means that loss and lavoi, death will be abolished. But the other pshat say it means that the nations of the world will no longer be right of us, and we will live b'shalva forever.
Right.
Okay, My Omrin, says the Gemara, Omarav, they say, Vaila Azlo, Vaila Chavila. Woe to the journey and woe to the security. The security, of course, is your neshama, right? The battery that you're now returning. Woe to that security. Omarava, the Shei the Shechansiv, Omrahachi. The women, the Neshei of the Chansiv would say, Vaila Azlo, Vaila Chavila. Ba'amarava, Nishay de Chashivi Amron, Kur Garma Mikocho, Venitme Mayoland, Tibe. Cut bones from food, bring water to the kettle. In other words, it's the reverse of drinking. Okay, in about 5 more minutes.
It's poetic, you know.
So poetic, and we're going to move right on. Ba'amarava, Nishay de Chashivi Amra, Ato Bechasi Turi Devar Rome Uvara Viveyu. Wrap and cover yourself, mountains, for you as a man of distinction and greatness. 28b2. V'amarava, Noshe de Chashiv Amron, Yisheol, the Yitzla, the Melesa, Lavar Choyrin, the Shlimu Zivode. The coffin is a robe of fine silk to a free man whose provisions were depleted. It was a rich man who fell and he became poor and now needs help for the Chesed Shalemes. And so is the next one. He runs and falls at the crossing he borrows. In other words, this guy had to borrow money to help himself, help him out. Our brothers, the merchants' nets will be searched. In other words, your meisim will be searched. For that did you do business piamuna? For Amarava Neshedish Chavi Amra Moisa Ki Moisi Marin Chibulaya. One death is like another, suffering is the interest payment. In other words, Yisurim should be Mekabel Biahava. Tanya, Hayurameya Haima. Toiv Leleches al Beis Ovel Ad V'chai Yitain al Liboy. Right? What does this mean? The living should take it to heart. Devorim Shal Misa, the matters of the dead. In other words, the Yispad Yisfudeni, One who eulogizes the dead, others will end up eulogizing him. Tidka Yukabuni, one who buries the dead, they will bury him. The Yitan Yitanune, one who carries the dead, he will be carried.
Mida keneged mida.
The one who raises himself for the dead, gets up and do what has to be done, that's what will happen to him. The Hikadiyamri de lo Yidal Yidulene, one who does not raise himself, they will raise him, meaning he's an onav. A person who's an onav who never holds himself great, when the time comes, they will make him great. Better that they should say to you, come up here. And sometimes it's what? That's what happens sometimes. So, Tanu Rabbana, Kishemesu Bonav Shel Rabbi Yishmael. When the sons of Rabbi Yishmael were nifta, Nichsu Aboz, Zekain Mulanachmoi, Rab Tarfin, Rabbi Yosef Galili, Rabbi Elazar ben Azai, Rabbi Kiva. Amalahem Rab Tarfin. Tu Shechacham Gadol Hu Baki Ba'Agadis. Know that Rabbi Yishmael is a great Chacham, a great sage, and an expert in Agadis. Al Yikonis Echad Mikem L'Toich Dibri Chaveroi. Not one of you should repeat something that his fellow says. He wants to hear new Agadis. So I'm a Rabbi Akiva, Vani Achin, I'll go last. Don't worry about it. I'll come up with something fresh, whatever you guys say. So Rabbi Yishmael himself started. And the reason for this is because when you menachem Ovel, the Ovel has to talk first.
Yes, right.
So therefore the Ovel over here spoke about himself first. Rabu Avoinoisav, his sins are many. Techopu Avolov, his bereavements coming close to session, one son after another. And I had to bother the Rabbanim to come visit me the first time on my first son to be Menachem Ovel, and now they're coming a second time for my second son. Then Rav Tarfon spoke up and said, this is what Moshe Rabbeinu told me. Death of Nadav and Abihu. And your brethren, the entire house of Israel, will cry over the fire. That's the whole nation mourned for them and screamed about their death. The sons of Rabbi Yishmael, who did many mitzvahs, will certainly be heaped with honor. Then Rabbi Yosef Galili v'Oimed v'Softu Koloi Kol Yisol v'Kavru Oisai. This is this Aviyah, the son of Yerovam. All of Klal Yisrael cried over him and buried him. V'Aloi Devarim Kal v'Chayma. U'Ma'aviyu ben Yerovam. Shlo Yosel Adova Echad. Taib only did one good thing, which we'll talk about in a second. Diksiv be'Yan v'Nimsa boy Dova Taib, because a good thing is found in him. Kach got such honor when he was nifta, but on the bottom of Rabbi Yishmael, Alakas Kama v'Kama will certainly be honored. My Dover type. What does it mean? Dover type said, his father put people in the way so that the people of the Malchus Yisrael cannot come to Malchus Yehuda for Oila Regel, and he stepped aside in the valley that he was supposed to be walking. And he let people through. That he in fact abolished all the centuries. And he, what he called, countermanded his father's instructions. Rabbi Elazar ben Azai regarding Tzidkiyahu HaMelech, you will die peacefully like the burnings performed for your forefathers. The burnings where they would burn the personal effects of the king, and there was not the Isser of Baltashchis because nobody else was ever allowed to use
It was an honor.
the Nasi was using. Okay, so he said, only did one mitzvah. What do I mean? Now, of course, Tzidkiyahu was a big tzaddik, he did many mitzvahs. But he was very good in one great. He raised Yirmiyah from the mud. They threw Yirmiyah into this muddy dungeon because they didn't like what he was saying about the destruction. And Chizkiah brought him up, right? Tzidkiyahu brought him up. Kach, he got such honor when he was nifta. Bonam shel Rabbi Yishmael alakas kama v'kana. Kama. Then Rabbi Akiva got up and spoke. Vayoymahu yigdal hamispad b'Yerushalayim b'mispad had rimay b'bikas megidai. Now this is talking about la'asid lavai. But if you learn the pasuk pashut, it's talking about certain people. So Ba'amar Rabbi Yosef, Imoli Targume Dahai Kra, if we didn't have the Targum Yonason on this pasuk, Layavi Yadana, my Kama, what was going on? Because there was never a man, Hadri Minoi. We never found this anywhere in the Tanakh. Be'ina Nahu Yisei B'mispun Yerushalayim. On that day, there shall be great mourning in Yerushalayim. Kin miskla de acha bar imri de kotel yehei hadminoi bar tarbimoi. Like the mourning of Achab, the son of Omri, who was killed by Hadrimon, the son of Tavrimon, in a major battle, in the battle of Gilad, and he was killed by this soldier, this Armenian soldier who was Hadrimon. Who can mispad Yoshia bar Amoin, the great king Yoshia, who we sing a kinnis to, Bar Amoin, the Kotel Yosef Pari Chagira, who was killed by Pari the Lame, the Bikas Megiddo in the valley of Megiddo. Va'aloi devarim kal v'chayma. Umarach Melki Soshlo Yosef Eladober to Echatoyiv, the Ksiba Amelech Hayamamid Merachov and Noichach Oram. Because what did Achab do when he was killed in the battle? He didn't want his army to get destroyed, so he propped himself up against his chariot.
Grievously injured. Yeah.
Right, so he didn't want to show them that he was injured, and therefore they didn't get slaughtered. Kach, he got such honor. Rabbi Shmuel alachas kama b'kama. You want to? Should we stop right here? Okay, so we're going to stop right over here. We're going to stop right over here, and tomorrow morning we will finish the Masechta.
Yeah, you'll be finishing in 10 minutes.
Right, and then we'll begin Masechtas Chagiga.